we're off to beautiful Palm Beach to tour 3 incredible homes that embody the fresh, airy charm of Florida living. First, step inside an effortlessly chic home filled with timeless style, sophisticated outdoor spaces, and a fabulous closet. Next, we visit a charming home that seamlessly blends elegance with everyday comfort, plus a stop at a thoughtfully curated boutique offering linens, clothing, and textiles from around the world. Finally, we explore a custom-built modern oasis, full of unique treasures and inspiration drawn from the designer's childhood in Asia. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. If you're looking to make your own space more homeworthy, we've teamed up with Cherish, our go-to online destination for chic, one-of-a-kind finds, sourced from the world's most wonderful vendors.
Mercury drops are from an artist I found on Cherish.
Whether we're after a bold statement piece or the perfect finishing touch, Cherish has extraordinary items that leave a lasting impression.
This table I bought on Cherish from Berlin, and it has a little bit of it's a tray, and it is mid-century, and it's one of my favorite pieces.
It's where we find iconic looks to set homes apart.
I think many dealers would agree that Cherish is the absolute best.
So to support Homeworthy and discover amazing items from Cherish, scan the QR code or click on the link below to start shopping.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Danielle. Welcome to my Palm Beach place. I have some stuff I'd like to show you. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Danielle Rollins. I'm an interior decorator, designer, author, tastemaker, and shopkeeper. This is my home in Palm Beach. My fiance and I got this house at the beginning part of COVID, and when we first saw it, I loved it, he hated it. We are literally the ultimate odd couple. We have extremely different tastes, but for some reason they meld and work really well together. And when we first came up to the house, he said, I don't like it because it has no curb appeal. And I said, that is exactly why I love it, because it is a house that slowly unveils itself to you. You enter on a side courtyard, and then the front door is on the side of the house, and we have an alley of palm trees that are filled with orchids, and it's just kind of a magical escape from the street, because you could go by this house a million times and never know it's even here, which has always been my favorite type of a house that slowly unveils and reveals itself to you, and each time it seems different. What really drew me to the space was the amount of natural light we had here, how tucked away and cozy and private it was. And when we first saw it, it had been decorated very well in 1990. And there was a red room, a blue room, a very patterned green room, and it was something the realtors had gone in and tried to put some white paint over. But I always try to find a house that hasn't been overly done, because I guess I don't want to pay for somebody else's mistakes. And it makes you so much more confident about putting your own stamp on something if there's nothing that you really like there. So it had phenomenal bones, and the things we had to do were the cosmetic, redo the bathrooms, redo the kitchen, strip some stuff down, kind of give it a little less oomph, because the 90s were very exciting, and it looked like it. It had columns and bells and whistles everywhere, so that was the first step for me, was kind of de-architecturalizing it and adding in more simple moldings and creating some door casings around to give it a little bit of structure. And I'm known for color. I love color, but this house has so much color outside and so much light and so many windows that I wanted it to be more neutral. I joke about this a lot, that it's yours, mine, and ours with my fiance. He is much more streamlined, much more minimalist, much more modern than I am, and I have never met a thing I don't like. So it was a little bit of a challenge of how do we meld our worlds together and give it sort of a masculine touch, but have the things in it that I have to have in my life. And so we've done a great job with it. He told me he wanted it to feel like Ernest Hemingway meets Peter O'Toole. And so I look towards a lot of British colonial West Indies type feels. It was one of the first times I'd really put together a full mood board to work with him and show him kind of my vision, because I think as a designer I forget sometimes that I still have to do that for the person that I live with. I'm just so used to having the stuff in my head, I've had to learn to translate it into a space that other people can understand. And that really helped both of us kind of have a roadmap that we liked. This chocolate brown, a lot of off-whites and pale blues, and just little pops of color. A lot of texture on the walls, but it's an incredibly neutral house, especially for me. Living room, and it overlooks the backyard and patio and pool area. When we moved into the house, I wanted something that felt open and airy and very connected to the outdoors, because we have so many beautiful green, huge ficus hedges, and I wanted something in here that felt like a respite. So the walls are painted a Benjamin Moore color called Palest Pistachio, which I have no idea why, because it's really a blue, not a green or a brown. And the walls, all the trim is done in Benjamin Moore down white. It's one of my favorite colors. It's a little grayish, greenish, beigeish white. It kind of picks up everything around, which color is really important in Florida, because you get so much light on the outside that what happens on the inside can look so different than what you think it's going to look like. So I did a custom sofa from Cravat done in Suzanne Kassler, who is a very good friend of mine from Atlanta's, woven white weave. And I have to say it was my first venture using a performance fabric, but when you have an 80-pound dog that likes to go from that pool into here and roll around and everything, it's pretty important to do a performance fabric. So when I first started doing that, I was so afraid I'd have to sacrifice quality and feel. And now there are so many wonderful performance fabrics that I can't tell you the last time I used a real fabric. And the chairs were done after the Billy Baldwin slipper chairs, just slightly overscaled, because I wanted a place where two people could perch and some people over here. And I like thinking through seating whenever I'm doing any kind of space, because I want to feel good with 2 people in the room or 20. And so the tables were done in Burma. They're like real drip lacquer. I think they're so pretty. They have this beautiful patina on them. And of course, I like books and more books and things and objets, and it's just stuff I've collected all over the place. Normally, I keep the room filled with white flowers in the winter a lot, but I have had this kind of obsession with sort of creating a tropical orchid jungle lately, and I have a couple of orchids that I really love, and I think they're just so special. I always like something living in the space, but really started off because I found these beautiful Catalan orchids which smell incredible, and then started adding colors. So these 2 consoles were pieces that I had in Atlanta. They're Georgian, they are beautiful big mahogany, and I love them there. And then when I moved here, they're so perfect because they have this little serpent leg and the little sea scroll. And they're kind of my favorite parts of this room, because they're a constant story of evolving. Like, I am always adding in a different piece of artwork and putting in more blue and whites, and coral that we find in Bahamas starts getting layered in here. And it's my own like little story every day, and I'm always switching it up. But I love being able to have the big areca palms in here and how it plays off with the art and the layers and how comfortable it feels. I think one of my favorite parts of being in Florida is how you can mix in so many natural elements. The huge pieces of coral, the beautiful Italian red coral, a seashell that might be covered in a little bit of silver, and then layering in again just little bits of living with little bits of special pieces and things that have meaning. Tom and I are sailors, or I guess we're really not sailors. We're water people, boat people, we'll put it that way. So we spend our summers on a boat, usually in New England, and so there's a lot of little references in here to kind of those things we love, whether it's the scroll on the tables or some of the books on sailing. Those kind of dot around through here, and it always feels very connected from my Palm Beach life to my boat life. And I like having those little memories kind of popped in. The piece here on the wall is a Korean piece, hand painted of cranes, and I really have this thing about birds. I think I mentioned it earlier. I probably sound crazy, but I love them. I will be on the golf course and all of a sudden stop whatever I'm doing to tell people, oh my God, I hear a bald eagle. So one of my favorite birds in Florida are the sandhill cranes, and that's what these are. They mate for life, they take care of their babies, they make the most weird sound you've ever heard when they fly. And it's something that when I see them, I literally come unglued. I'm like, stop the car. There's sandhill cranes, because they're just so special. So that's why I loved this piece. And of course, no room would be complete without a bar. In the South, we call these a preacher's bar. When the preacher comes over, the bar goes away. When the company comes over, the bar is here to stay. And I love having a little entertaining space. I like to think through how rooms function. This becomes the self-service bar for anybody here who's in the pool, who's over last minute. And so I almost always have a stash of extra champagne and red wine and stuff down here. And then I have all the mixers here, can pull anything. My favorite cocktail is almost always Blanco tequila, club soda, a big squeeze of orange, and some mint. I don't know what you call it, but it has been my tropical fruit salad cocktail for decades. My inspiration in design comes from everywhere and anywhere. I think color-wise, I always look to birds and nature for my color inspirations, but I will pick a project and then I'll find a bird that has the colors that sort of represent what I want the project to feel like. In this case, it was a bluebird, crazily, but I think the colors in nature are so intense and so vivid, and they're mixed so beautifully, and the combinations are something you could never ever come up with. And then being in Palm Beach, I wanted this house to feel very tropical and have a still sophisticated palette to it. Being a block away from the lake and 3 blocks from the ocean largely played into the palette as well. So leaving the living room, we're heading into the dining room, which is directly connected, and it also views the pool and the cabana outside. And in this space, I wanted something that had a beautiful indoor-outdoor connection that had some relevance to the other room because they're conjoined. And the star of the show in here is my gigantic, probably groaning to the max, break front that is filled with all of my little entertaining treasures that I love. And we didn't have a very large kitchen, so this piece had to come into play, and it gets more use than anything else in the house. I think one of my favorite things about entertaining is that mix and match quality, and I love setting the tables, and I love figuring out which plates are going to go with which napkins. So a testament to the magpie gypsy that I really am. If you could see the amount of linens that are stuffed into these drawers, they are nonstop. I keep them in sets according to colors, but to me that's the part of entertaining that I love the most, is just kind of that mix match, playing like who is the table going to be today. And some of my favorite pieces in here are, well, obviously the caviar pieces, because I've never met any caviar I don't like, and I think it's not a party unless you have caviar. And I love some of the bigger terrains up here. There's one that looks like a cantaloupe. And I've really not ever used it other than to put orchids and plants in it, but it gives me such joy because it is so goofy. I think I said earlier that when I buy, I have to always buy things in the same color palette. So I usually start off with 12 colors that I like, and you can see how everything goes together if you stay within that color scheme and you can mix it and match it. It becomes a spring or a winter quite easily with just the addition or subtraction of a salad plate. But there is nothing that doesn't go together if you buy enough of it. I think the art of setting a perfect table is to keep it casual and relaxed and elegant. I hate overdone flowers. I like very loose, very low, very easy center arrangements. I love layers of plates and placemats and the napkins, and I like things to have a slightly off feel. So I never ever strive to make my tables perfect. I just always want them to look interesting. The table is from Ralph Lauren, and it was a perfect compromise of his, mine, and ours together, because I like antiques and I like things with a rich, heavy patina. And Ralph Lauren is where you can never go wrong because there is always something for everyone. The glass top gave it sort of a lucid, like airy quality to the room that I really wanted. It directly looks out onto the pool, so I wanted it to have that easy indoor, outdoor, open up the doors for entertaining kind of feel. And the chairs were done for us, and they're a mahogany copy of a West Indies chair that I really loved that Janssen had done. And I could only find 2 chairs, and they were a much smaller scale, so I had them copied a little bit larger. I'm an accidental entertainer, more than I'd like to say that I am, but I think the key for being a good entertainer is to just roll with it, have a sense of humor, and have a well-stocked arsenal of things you know you can pull from. So I think if it's a dinner party, have something you know you can do well and that you've done over and over and over, so it's second nature. If it's casual entertaining, I always make sure I have cocktail napkins pressed, ready to go in a container. I have, wine always stashed in some closet. I always have something in the pantry that I know I can pull out for guests, because I think my favorite style of entertaining is that type that just happens very organically and very casually. Sunday, it's a beautiful day, come over for a rosé, come take a swim in the pool, or it's Friday night, we don't have any plans, how about a small dinner party? And I like those small intimate groups. I really don't stress about entertaining. I feel like, especially living in Florida, if I don't have flowers, I can go snip something. There's always something blooming, something green, and I can throw it together at whim. And my real ease for entertaining is that I'm such a magpie. I collect so many things. So it is 100% guaranteed that I'm going to have at least 12 napkins I can pull out of somewhere, and 12 plates and 12 glasses, and then mix and match. So here we are in the outdoor dining room. And I think the most fun about living in Palm Beach is that 90% of my entertaining is done outside. So we put in this really beautiful and heavy structural cabana so that it gave us this indoor-outdoor connection to the house and a focal point for the pool. But it is the perfect place for a dinner party or a light lunch or playing mahjong or rummy. And I think I love that sense of having people over, and at the end of the night after some gala, everybody ends up here in ball gowns and sitting here having champagne and sharing stories. And it's just really probably my favorite thing about this house. I put in this lattice, I did the lattice mirrors and filled the walls with orchids in a small space. It's important to think about how do you have a maximized greenery. And for me, that's kind of going up the walls here. So I love the pots of orchids on the walls and keeping it just as much of a decorated space as it is in the inside. The dining chairs are vintage brown Jordan that I found, again, at some estate sale, cobbled a bunch together, had them powder coated in the off-white color I love. And the furniture out here is a heavy iron that I designed. And I love it because it's substantial enough that even in the heaviest of hurricane warnings, I don't have to move it because it's not going anywhere. But I like a furniture arrangement that can be mixed and matched. I think it's great to have the little garden seats that people can pull up and sit on and turn around to dining chairs and change the structure of everything. And our house is painted a very, very pale apricot color. And I love navy and white, and so that's what we mixed out here, and it always has this crisp freshness to it. So let's get out of this rain and head back inside because there's still a lot more I want to show you. Here we are in the kitchen, and this was a space that had to be fully gutted, and it is not a big space, but it is maximalized so well with cabinetry and places for everything. And it's got a great little area for cooking, and it's just big enough. And when we did the space, I wanted something that had a transition feel to the rest of the house with the heavy mahogany and the pale blues and a lot of the off-whites. So in here, we did the kitchen in this beautiful custom pale blue with a slight gray tone to it. The countertop is a quartzite, and it had this dreamy feel to it, and quartzite is a phenomenal countertop material for people like me who like to actually use their kitchens because you can't really hurt it. And the light fixture was a piece from Martin Lawrence Bullard that I loved because it's rattan with this chunky nickel banding around it, and it had this masculine quality to it with some scale and heft, but it felt feminine enough to keep me happy with all of my collection of French wicker entertaining pieces. And these are what 90% of ends being the scene stealer at any dinner. And I collect the Charleston baskets that are woven by the Gullah women, and they're just works of art. And I probably have 20 or 30 of them, and they're stuffed everywhere where you can't see because this is a home tour. But I keep one on the counter filled with fruits at all time, and I just like those things that are done by hand. And that's why I love wicker, rattan, and natural woven, because you've got this connection to someone else's heart that they actually created these pieces, not a machine. You know, I just like a display of things. I like to have things at my hand that I can access all the time. And I like having stuff out where I can get it. I like having my cooking tools right around me. I like having a cutting board that I can use and display things on. And I'm a big last minute charcuterie board girl. And so those stay up here because it's a perfect thing. Everybody's in the pool enjoying a rosé all day. And that's the pieces that I go to for a quick, let's have something as a little snack. I really am a gypsy at heart. And the reason we had to have solid cabinets over here is because there is something inside each one of them that is so much you would never expect it. I love having all my entertaining essentials in one place. I have enough bamboo handled silverware that I could do it for an army. And I like having the different pieces where I can assess them quite easily. And I think having pull-out drawers in a kitchen makes so much more sense than having just cabinets with shelving. Because this way I can pull things out and I can always see it, and it's always accessible and always ready. And I told you that there is something behind every single closed door. And this is where all of our crystal is. And I love this part of setting the table. To me, the last little crowning touch is going to be whatever the water glasses are. And I love colored water glasses because they give a table an instant punch, but they can also unify disparate patterns. So I can pretty much make any single table setting, anytime, anywhere, any place work with the amount of little goblets I have. My professional trajectory has been anything but normal, but I always joke that normal is a dryer setting, so it all works out. I have always loved design. I have always loved entertaining. I think if I looked back in my entire life, that's really what my love was, my joy was, my passion was. I may have done other things. I was a stay-at-home corporate mother for 20 plus years. I got a divorce and I decided to follow my dream of being able to put vision for passion into projects. And I think one of the things that really inspires me about doing a project is how a house runs, and it's something I've always done very well. So to me, it's not so much the way a home looks, it's the way the home functions. And that's the part that I really think through with clients of like, where does everything go? How do you get it there? Who's gonna bring it here? And think through those details. And I think that makes me a really good designer, because it's not just how it's gonna look, it's how it's gonna feel, it's how it's gonna sound or not sound in a lot of cases, and how it can change and evolve, and each room can translate to something else in the next room. So I started my design business, I guess, formally about 12, 13 years ago. I can't even remember now. I opened up my own design firm, and then I moved to Palm Beach about 7, 8 years ago. First part-time, then decided I loved it so much full-time. I got a tiny little space on Georgia Avenue and opened up my design business here. And then I had this push from Meg Braff, who is next door, to put a few pillows in my office because people kept coming over saying, Meg said for us to come next door and see you. And then we slowly transitioned. I bought the building. I had to do something with all the space, and I've always, always, always wanted to do a retail space that was set up like individual vignettes. I love doing show houses, and I love the creativeness that comes with that, where you put everything together and it all matches and it's all styled. So that's what my concept for doing the store was, and it's been a phenomenal success. It's so much fun. It's so much more work than I ever thought it would be, and I've really enjoyed watching Georgia Avenue go from this very sleepy little street to this design mecca for shopping in Palm Beach. There is a million other places over there. It's gotten little restaurants and stuff popping up. We have a golf course now at the end of the street, and I like being part of a community, so that's been the most fun for me. Now we're heading into the den, one of our more intimate and little cozy spots in the house. And it's a tiny room, and I love when tiny rooms are dark. And I find that people always end up in the smallest room of the house. And this room we painted in a beautiful navy shade, Benjamin Moore's Gentleman Gray, which I use a lot in my projects. And we did this custom banquette sofa. This room is a cozy little masculine space that is filled with things that we love. We have a series of black and white sailing prints and a walnut and nickel frame that I love because they take up the whole wall, and it kind of instantly tells the story of what we like. There's a bunch of America's Cup drawings. There's an old barometer from a ship. I like all the blue and white pieces mixed in. The English George Smith chairs are covered in one of my favorite Lisa Fine fabrics, and the sofa is obviously in a really great G.W. Baker performance fabric, and it is my dog's favorite place to lay and make sure that the mailman's coming so he can give him a good bark. One of my favorite pieces of furniture that I have ever done is this chair done in a cognac American alligator. It's better than a handbag. I think that when you're doing a space and you don't know what to do with something, I'm always like, just add a bar. They always work. But this is the main bar in the house, and it's really probably not the most ideally situated for large-scale entertaining, so hence why we have the preacher's bar in the living room. But this piece was a little tucked-in space that we could always have an intimate cocktail or a nice glass of red wine and cozy up at the end of the day. And it seems to be the place that we kind of gather, and it's like our talking space. So leaving the den goes into the space that utterly captivated me when we were looking at the house. And it's this double height foyer that's got this beautiful oculus window at the top. And to me, this just feels like a London townhouse. And it's what I loved about this house so much. This space has a couple of my sentimental antique favorites. I love this 1913 Steinway piano. And there's something so grand about entertaining and having someone play the piano, and it just feels instantly welcoming. And I have an antique grandfather clock in this space that was actually the very first antique piece I've ever bought. So I think I have that sentimental quality of wanting to have things that have been with me for a long time in a space. And I think sometimes when you move, you have to have that little bit of continuity from one world to the other. The piano ends up becoming kind of a moment for me to display things. It's got a practicality in that I keep my tray of sunglasses and the keys and all that, but this is where I love to have a little wow moment with flowers, and I like the pieces in the back to give some scale and something interesting, and I cut them down from my neighbor's house at night. My trajectory in getting where I was seemed to have all these little dots that always led me to be where I am today. I think the first thing that ever really was the critical aha moment for me was doing a party for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta to establish a foundation fund. My daughter had been in a very bad accident and spent almost 2 years in the hospital. And being a mother and watching other children, you can't help but want to do something. And when you see a need, you have to take care of it. So I did this party for Oscar de la Renta to raise money for children's healthcare. And it was this overwhelming passion of making the place that I lived better. And by better in place, I don't mean house, I mean in city environment, and the world I live in. And so I did this beautiful dinner for Oscar, whom I had been friends with and spent a lot of time with and thought the world of. And so I did one long table because it was kind of hard to convince people to spend the amount of money and then think who got to sit with Oscar. So one long table, everybody got to sit with him. And I've always loved that high-low aspect of entertaining. I like when things seem very natural and they have this organic element to it and not overly pressed, overly styled, overly formal, because the juxtaposition of that is so pretty to me. So I love starched linen over burlap, you know, the textures of things and making people feel comfortable. And I think when you do things in a very casual but relaxed and elegant way, people instantly feel more connected and they feel at ease. So we did this beautiful dinner, served Oscar some of his favorites, filled the tables with beautiful white dahlias, which were in season, and I happened to know that they were his favorite flower. I really thought through the details of stuff he likes and where he was from and what would make him feel special. It's kind of hard to impress Oscar de la Renta. I mean, been there, done that, seen it all the time. But my goal was just to make him feel comforted, welcomed to my home, and like experience the parts of the South that I loved. And during the dinner, he turned to me and suggested that I write a book. And I vividly remember looking at him and saying, about what? And it never occurred to me that I would have that voice to do that. But ironically, I am an English major. I went to school for creative writing. And Oscar really pushed me to write a book about entertaining and decorating and sharing my world with other people. And he said that I was hitting an age where I could be influential with other people, which looking back, I think that means getting old, but it is what it is. And I did the first book, Soiree Entertaining with Style, and I think it's still the most beautiful, timeless book. And it makes me so happy when people come up and say, I have these dog-eared pages, I've gone back to this, and I've looked at this party over and over. And I think that's really what gracious living is being able to live in a way that is always inspiring and always comforting and always relaxed and welcoming for other people. All right, from here, let's head upstairs so I can show you the bedroom. At the top of the stairs are some of my favorite photography pieces. They're vintage Fernand Fonsagraves pieces that are shots of his wife. And I have always loved these pieces, and they were in my very first apartment here. And I loved how they played off the limestone walls, and they just instantly make me happy. And they kind of feel like old school Palm Beach to me. So welcome to our bedroom. This is my favorite spot in the house, and it is where I start my day, end my day, and I love all the pieces in here. Everything tells a story. So the little sitting area in here used to be an office, and we loved having a space that doesn't immediately go into a bedroom. And I love the way it opens up off into the stair hall and that it looks out aside, and there's always greenery. We've got a little coffee bar in here and an English mahogany trolley that is filled with some special pieces and some much useful pieces like my reading glasses, which I've just started to have to use and I forget, so I have to have them there. And then of course, I'm Southern, my lipsticks. Cannot go anywhere in life without lipstick. My favorite lipstick is based on a color from Estee Lauder Princess Grace Coral, and they don't make it anymore, so my girls had 24 made for me at a place in New York. And now we're heading into our bedroom, which I am so thrilled to show because it has been a work in progress since we moved in. The problem with being a decorator is the cobbler's children have no shoes. The decorator never has time to do her own space. So this space has kind of evolved over the years, and I wanted something that was extremely neutral because it feels like Robinson Crusoe's treehouse up here to me. You just see swaying palms and beautiful ficus hedges. And so I painted the walls in here Benjamin Moore's natural wicker, and I picked the color because I like the paint name. True story. I always do that. But it's very neutral. It's got kind of this beigey, browny mix to everything with heavy white linen curtains and grass cloth furniture and woven rattan pieces. So I love how textural the room is without having much color. And the ceiling's done in Noblesse faux cypress. And there was a tray ceiling in here, which is never my favorite thing. And so we ripped out the millions of layers of molding that accentuated it and just made it a very streamlined look. And the wallpaper in here looks like cypress, and it kind of brings it down and envelops it. And I think ceilings are a great place to decorate, and people sort of overlook them. And to me, it's sort of a favorite place to have a pop of color or a little texture or something, because it really pulls the room together. I had this ability to buy rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of old Madagascar raffia grass cloth from the company that used to weave for Ralph Lauren. And so it sort of made a starring role in everything in the bedroom. But I designed the platform bed for myself in my first apartment. It moved here with us, and I'm lucky to have Pioneer Linens right around the corner and their owner on speed dial because I like bedding. This to me, because the room's so neutral, it becomes like my own little fantasy world in here. It was pink for Valentine's Day, and it's got a tropically jungle Porto print, and I like to mix and match them. But today I'm being very neutral. Just put in this pair of beautiful century chest. These are by Thomas O'Brien, who's another one of my favorite designers. And I have the custom Christopher Spitzmiller lamps that are in my signature shade of blue. So this Danielle blue has always made an appearance everywhere and often. So this was sort of my little punch of me in here. And then we just got these beautiful vintage Dutch botanicals, and there's something so wild and fun about them, but I love the tiger wood frames because it sort of again ties in the rattan and the grass cloth and all the neutrals. But the pieces are a little strange, which I love because they have this graphic quality, but they're really old prints. They're from like 1600s. So welcome to where the magic happens. This is my small dressing room that I love. It's kind of an octagonal shape and it's filled with mirrored cabinets, and everything behind them is so tight that I'm embarrassed to even show you. But I love my pieces. So I keep all my little caftans on in one part and all my party dresses over here. And I love getting dressed up. And to me, when I open up those cabinets, it's my inner Auntie May moment. This is my new favorite piece by Rasil, and it's got little bows on the side, so it has a little peekaboo effect, and then it has the most beautiful full leg trousers over it. So I always feel very, very chic, like I'm Deanna Vreeland and I'm heading somewhere if I've got this on for some reason. And I have it in multiple colors. I have hats everywhere. I have hats on a statue over here. I have hats at the top of the closet. I'm a hat girl. I feel like I'm not really complete unless I have that part to my ensemble. This is probably my very favorite, most sentimental piece of artwork that I have. It's my Wonder Woman, and she's been with me since my divorce and my house transition, every single place I've ever been, and it reminds me every morning that I am invincible, that I can get up, every day is going to be a new day. And that's kind of my like, pull yourself together, put your lipstick on, and go conquer the world. I'm pseudo well organized. I won't say I'm fully well organized, but in small spaces and having lived on a boat for multiple summers, everything has a place and there's a place for everything, and it all has to be tucked away and put where it can be displayed so it's easily grabbed. Our bathroom is the space that we both love, and we've got it filled with some Slim Aarons pieces that we both love. But my favorite part of what we did here, and I think it's a great tip for anyone doing a house, is the thermostatics are right here and right here. So I can take a shower, turn it on without getting my hands or my hair wet. It's my pet peeve when you have to get into the shower to turn it on and then you're soaking wet. I wanted a crazy bathroom that had all kinds of like hand-painted palm tiles and everything else. So we compromised with the Calcutta and the Carrara marble. So it has a masculine feel my fiance liked. And then I got my big Slim Aarons pieces in here, which always feels sort of old school glamorous. One of the great things about a neutral bathroom though is you can change the personality with towels and your robe, and pops of color on the walls. I tend to be a little bit of a collector and like patterns, so this is where I get my pattern with my monogrammed Wheezy towels. I always think the best compliment someone can give anyone about a space is that every time they go into it, they see something different. It's really what I think a home should be. It should have layers and different aspects that kind of draw your eye around. And I like whenever you sit down and have a glass of wine and notice one small detail that you've really never noticed before. And that's what I love about having a space to decorate, is all the like layers and vignettes that create and tell a story about a house, about the people that live in it, what they like, where they travel, and to me that's the most interesting part of a house. I don't think I ever get stuck when I'm designing things. Every once in a while I might hit a little roadblock, but at the start of a project, I am the most obsessive human being you have ever seen in your life. It is all day, every day, 24 hours, kind of working through details, and it's something I really enjoy. It is like a super relaxing escape for me to put myself into a project and walk through it over and over and over and think about the details. So I definitely hit roadblocks like anyone would, but I think sometimes just the craziest ideas will come to you whenever you're least expecting it. So like I might come up with a curtain trim while I'm on the golf course and supposed to be thinking about how I'm gonna hit the ball, but I like getting into that mental space of envisioning and enveloping a project, and I find it's just so much fun for me. And I like to have a lot of projects all the time. I have a low threshold for boredom. Home means shelter, it means a place of comfort, it means a place that you can take your shoes off and feel relaxed. It means that sense of I can't wait to go climb into my sheets and be in my own little cozy space. It means dogs and ruffled pillows and things not perfect, and just that ultimate escape that makes you feel so cosseted and so warm and so loved by your own space that you really enjoy being there no matter what time of the year it is, more than any place else on this earth.
Hello, Homeworthy. My name is Lita Austin Foster, and I want to welcome you to my shop and home here in Palm Beach, Florida. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, I'm Lita Austin Foster. Welcome to my home and shop in Palm Beach, Florida. We ended up in this space because this is our shop, because I needed a shop that was accessible to Palm Beach, that people walking by could see it and come in and buy things that go along with decor. And funnily enough, although our basic push is for linens and towels and things like that, when you have a linen company, the great linen companies of Europe also have children's clothes. So our shop has children's clothes, linens, china, everything that you could see, like setting up here at a table. I'm sitting at a table with some of our own linens and some of our own china. Bought this building, which was built in 1917. When we bought this building, it involved redoing the entire building because it was condemned. And the building is on the National Register, so we wanted to take it back to what it was. We're here in the Via Meisner, and so this building, which ironically enough, used to be a hotel for bachelors, was redesigned for the bottom floor to be the shop, the second floor of the building to be our office where we do our design work and plan new things for the shop, and the third floor of this building is an apartment where I and my husband live. So the whole building is reused, and that's something I happen to believe in very strongly, the reuse of old buildings with new use, but keeping the building as much as possible the way it was in the beginning. Welcome to my living room. You're in my apartment, which is the top floor of the building, but up here in my living room, it's not so messy. So we converted this. As I said, this was a hotel for bachelors. So this room, which had only an 8-foot ceiling, was this was 6 little bedrooms with a bathroom at either end. Now the bathroom now is the elevator, and the elevator only comes to this floor. So when you come in, you're in my living room, and you can see that you're looking out to the roofs of the villa. I love this because it's very much like living in Europe. I sit out there every morning and have my coffee, and I either look down into the Via Parigi, or sometimes I turn around and look down into my own Via Meisner. I love this room. It's wallpapered. It's very French, country French in style. I collect things, so you're going to see a beautiful Dennis Hare painting, which I love. So I brought some things from my home when I sold it. Everywhere you look, you're going to see photographs. Photographs. Look here. Photographs of my life with my family, my children, my husband. This is my husband when he was only 6 months old. He's so cute. He's still very cute, watching his little TV. And over here, he has on his table a little teeny picture, just like his little teeny TV. He has a little teeny picture of his mother and me and his daughter. So that's that. Also, this table came not just from our home, but from his family home down on El Bravo. I think that's what adds that soul, the little teeny TV maybe. And then over here is a picture of him when he was in boarding school, and a picture of my beloved granddaughter, who is now teaching a class once a week at Stanford while she gets her master's. So I think that's what adds soul to the room. Books, beautiful little things that I love. This is a wonderful little piece of Meissen porcelain. Isn't he sweet? I love him. He's actually a bad creature, but I like him. He goes there. And this is Meissen too. This was a little 18th century inkwell, and it would have held a quill. I don't have the quill anymore. It would probably long gone, but it's a monkey. Monkeys were a very common decorative thing in the 18th century. And then this adds soul because this is from his father's family. Isn't it pretty? Guess what it was? It was for cigarettes. Nobody smokes anymore, so we just use it to be beautiful. And that's what all three of these books were. And then we have things that, books, because I love books, and these are books. This is a book written by a friend of mine, Fernando Wong, and Tim Johnson. So I have that there. And this is a book written by Jane Churchill, whom I like very much, but it's about my aunt, Nancy Lancaster. So that's kind of nice for me. I think that does add soul. I love pillows. Pillows make a couch comfortable. I'm very prone to come lie on this sofa, and I want all those pillows when I do, because I put them behind me to read. They're soft, they're all, like I said, down. I love that. This is Rosa Bernal, a Spanish company. She makes beautiful printed fabrics. This is a fabric that we had done and appliqued. Guess who's vain and proud? Lita Austin Foster. And then I just put them there. And when I want to lie down, I can lie on top of all those pillows. It feels good. These curtains, which I love, are made from a fabric from Pierre Frey. Pierre Frey is a French company. Patrick Frey is the son of Pierre Frey, and young Pierre Frey is the grandson of Pierre Frey. I like family companies, Lita Austin Foster and daughters, Pierre Frey. We quilted these curtains because quilted curtains are really beautiful at holding down sound, and they make a thick, beautiful curtain. I line all my curtains with ticking because I don't like to see white lining. It looks like you put sheets in your windows, not a good look. And then under the curtains, I have bamboo shades because this window faces directly to the east, so it gets intense morning sun. Fortunately, in this room, the windows to the west are very small, so I don't have to curtain them. I curtain over here because this is my dining area, and I keep the blinds down because blinds, not only do they moderate light, but they keep it cool. And so I have the curtains again, really just because it looks pretty here. We don't ever close these particular curtains, but they're beautiful. Basically, the pieces in this room are French. except for these chairs, which are Swedish. But it's interesting to know that all design comes out of Italy and moves up through France and then moves out to Scandinavia and also to England. So you get these French influences on Scandinavian furniture. Now we're going to walk into my kitchen part of my living room, which is right here. This, because it's an apartment and not terribly big, and because I want to be with my husband in the evening when I prepare food, we have the kitchen as part of the living room. But I did not want to have it ugly where the stove was. So we built a European-looking fireplace. That's a fake. But it holds the fans and the chimneys for the stove. Because it's my own building, I was allowed to put in my own stove, which is a gas stove. I love to cook and I like to cook on gas. But everything is so concentrated in here. I have my sink, I have my dishwasher, I have my refrigerator and freezer drawers because these are freezers. This is the one I would probably not have done, but the architect told me to. I probably would have done all drawers if I could have. These drawers are made by Sub-Zero, and I love the fact that you can use them and not look at them. Funnily enough, the architect, whom I adored, said, why don't we put the big refrigerator right there? And I said, absolutely not. And have that be what you see when you first come in the door? I don't think so. So we put the stove instead, and we put all these pretty Portuguese tiles. You know, Portugal is the home of beautiful tiles. So here they are in sepia. And we painted the shelves and the things bright yellow. So this room is gay and jolly and fun. This room is important for you to see that this room used to be only 8 feet tall. That was pretty ugly. So I and the architect, we climbed up on the fire escape of the building over across Via Parigi, and we took pictures of our building so that then we could take the pictures and draw onto it and using a scale, figure out how much we could go up. Now, we thought we could go up 18 feet. We actually only got to go up 16 feet, but that's okay because we still made it go up. And those are now, instead of being trusses, those are real beams holding out the walls of the building so that it doesn't implode on itself. I think that as designers, I do have a go-to tip for people. I think that what you should always think of when you're a decorator is that your design should incorporate the building in which you're working plus the client for whom you're working, so that the house in the end does not represent you, the designer, but represents the client who's going to live in that house. And so now I'm going to walk down this little teeny weeny hall and show you my primary bedroom. Welcome into my bedroom. Now you're in another room where we took the ceiling up to get it. Remember, it was 8 feet. That's the bottom of those beams. It would have been, it's actually below that. And the people who were the best help to me in this was Historic Preservation in Tallahassee. They taught me so many tricks about doing over an old building, and I'm a big believer in doing over old buildings. I had a great architect, and we were able to make this tall room with French pieces, French pieces, French pieces, and I happen to like a half canopy bed. This room is too small to have had a full canopy bed. It would have made the room look small. So we used a half canopy bed, and I happen to love smocking, so I smocked the top of my pelmet. And then soul again, I have all my family that I look at every night and every morning. There's a telephone that sits there too, but my daughter has obviously moved it because she doesn't think a telephone is very good. I happen to love it. My family, the only people who have that number, so they can call me in the middle of the night. I designed this wallpaper. It's called Foster Stripe. And actually, it's a wonderful thing because Foster Stripe got me one of my best clients who I had said I was going to, I'd never met him. He was head of a very influential large corporation. And I said, I'm going to take you to a showroom that I think you'll like. What I was really doing was taking him to a showroom where I knew they knew me and would be very respectful of me. And so I said, there's going to be a striped paper there that you're just going to love. It's going to be exactly what you want. And I said, I want to show him, this is what I told the people at the showroom, I want to show him that wonderful stripe you made that is picoed on the edge. And they go, oh, we discontinued that. I said, what? Well, you can't. You put it back right now. And he turned to me and said, are they really going to do it? And I said, yes. And they did. And they said, we brought it back and we renamed it, and it's now called Foster Stripe. And here you're seeing Foster Stripe. I love it, and it got me a very nice client. And now I'm going to walk you down the hall and show you our other guest bedroom. But first, I'm going to introduce you to Argo. This is Argo number 7. Argo, siéntate. 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 He's very old. He's 15. He's a good boy. And he is a little deaf, just like my husband. So he doesn't always answer. I wanted to show you this hall because this wallpaper, which I designed for Waterhouse, is called Les Jeux Orientaux, the Oriental Games. And you can see a boy in the swing, and a boy climbing up, and you see monkeys, you see everything. The reason I wanted to show you this is to show you that even a very traditional wallpaper looks wonderful with pictures. These are modern pictures that I happen to collect, and they just look good on wallpaper. What gives a home a soul is to have things that belong to the client. It's funny, but last night at dinner, we just happened, the people with whom we were eating, and my husband and I just happened to be talking about a very beautiful home they'd been to, but they said that it felt rather much like a set ready for a photographer. That's not a house with a soul. The house should look like the person who lives in it. It should have a soul. It should incorporate things that that person loves. Do they have a dog? Let the dog be in the house. If it gets dog hair on it, who cares? You know, the house should be the soul itself of that person who lives there. And you can do that by having things that the person owns, having their favorite colors, having their favorite type of fabrics. Do they like curtains? Do they like soft upholstery? Do they like antiques? But it needs to be them and not just the designer. Now we're in the guest bedroom. And this was a tricky room because since, as I said, this is a mixed commercial and residential building, we are not allowed to touch this, which is the interior fire escape. So we worked around, and the architect said, well, we'll put in a twin bed and so we can have bedside tables. And I said, nobody sleeps in a twin bed. So we have a double bed here. And the way we solve the problems of having stuff on the side is we put up wall lamps and bookcases. And we also use very much the windowsills. When you live in an apartment like this, very European in style, you use every inch that you have. So again, I have my collections of things that I love, which are French, like this. I love this little chair. This little chair is very sweet. It's probably about 200 years old. It's very, very simple. And I covered it in a fabric that picks up from Les Jeux Orientaux out in the hall. This is a scalamandre fabric, really whimsical and fun. And again, we have photographs because that's what makes a soul. My husband used to be a great bird shot. He doesn't shoot anymore. But so I have these wonderful 18th century feather pictures, and they make a fun look. This is an antique iron bed, and makes a nice, comfortable bed for a guest or two. And in this part of the bedroom, again, you're seeing things that reflect his love of game shooting at the time. These are wonderful 19th century prints. They're actually engravings, hand-colored engravings of partridge shooting and pheasant shooting. And over on this side, we have a wonderful family portrait by Gilbert Stuart. So I happen to love that. And then on it, again, to show soul, are pictures of his family and his very unusual shooting clothes. You will notice he's in turquoise shorts. But He was, as I said, a great bird shop. These are pictures of his children and of his stepchildren. He was always exceedingly close to my middle daughter, Sally, and this is a picture of Sally. This is his desk where he works. He comes here in the guest room and works. This is an old wallpaper. I put it up 30 years ago, but I like it. It's a block print, very subtle and removed. And that's the story of this part of the room. Good morning and welcome to my shop. This part where I'm standing is the section of my shop where it's linens, and that's an important thing for my business because the reason I started the shop was because I couldn't get the linens that I wanted. So many companies were going out of business and things. So I began making my own linens, which are made in Paris and in Florence, Italy, so that we could have things that would be perfect for my decor. For instance, I have these beautiful sheets, but then with them, I might have some porcelain flowers because that would have been a beautiful decor thing. So you're going to see in my shop different things, linens, things that people don't have anymore. They call these husbands. We have to have them specially made now. That's what I mean when I say the companies were going out of business. But people want husbands. They're what you sit in bed and read with your arms on. We have beautiful towels. We have beautiful beach towels. We have all kind of sheets. We have beautiful, beautiful monogramming. These are done in Paris by Noel in Paris. We are the Porto store for Southeast Florida. So these are Porto prints, and Porto prints, we represent Noel. We have beautiful things to make your bedroom beautiful. And we also have things to make you comfortable in your bedroom, which would be like bedroom slippers and things like that. We have things for you to enjoy with your morning coffee. We make these to match up to our beautiful sheets. So we have that. We have things for people who love the ocean. So these are sheets from Florence or embroidered in Florence. This is a beautiful look. It's important to know when you're thinking about linens that some things are made with hand-guided machine embroidery. Other things are made with hand embroidery. Guess what? There's a price difference. So I am going to show you, these are beautiful hand-guided machine embroidery from Paris. Nice down pillows with having your own bathrobe to match your bedroom and to be comfortable. So when you have your morning coffee, you can take off the chill. Over here, we also make for people, for our beautiful linens, we make waste paper baskets and Kleenex boxes to go with them. So everything can be, you say, well, I want green in my bedroom. You can have green in your bedroom. You can have sheets and towels to match. Say, I want palm trees, have palm trees. This is Florida. So over here we have beautiful things that we show as accessories to go with our other things. Over here, we arrange our shop according to color. So here is a blue section, and we're showing blue things and more of the wedges that we like for reading in bed, and then more of the beautiful hand monograms from Paris so that you can see that. You will not see that anywhere else. We like that. We like to have things that nobody else has. We make our own pillows. We have pillows everywhere, upstairs, downstairs, in here. And here, I always show one of the things that I spot at 500 paces. I hate ugly waste paper baskets. So we always have beautiful waste paper baskets. But as see, I put them in our blue section. Vases to go by your bed so you can have flowers. How about a little pillow made of down that says, isn't it sweet? It says, Dorma bien, sleep well. Buena noches, sleep well. Good night, sleep well. I love this. It comes in pink, it comes in blue, it comes in white, it comes in whatever you want. Now we're in the department where we do table linens. A very sweet thing happened. This is a hand-embroidered tablecloth. It can be done in any size, but a really lovely man came in and ordered this. He actually bought one of these. It was there. See how that's the hand embroidery? If we could come up close, you can see how beautiful the stitching is on that. Those are wildflowers. And this is cut and draw work called hem stitching. See how it's at the edge? So pretty. Love things like that. We have beautiful table linens, mats, palm tree again. We have beautiful monograms. These monograms here, this is a hand embroidered monogram, and this is a hand embroidered monogram. And this is a hand guided machine embroidered monogram. As I said, big difference in price. So I like to offer people the best and also the best array of prices. These are something we have made for us. Edward Schaefer, who runs the Isabel O'Neill School in New York, makes these for us. These are wooden, painted as chagrin wall table mats, and they're in various colors. They're felt on the back so they don't hurt your beautiful table, or if it's glass, they don't make a lot of noise. Look how pretty that black chagrin is with the neutral, and that's a hand-guided machine embroidery from Julian Mejia. Then over here, we have another one. More of that chagrin. It comes in any of these colors, or we can come up with a color just for the person. I put it, the green, with my palm tree mug. Over here, I'm showing off, this is hand embroidery, coral, because Florida is an old coral reef. So I'm showing it with solid napkins or embroidered napkins. Over here is a company that we have bring in from Italy. It's called Basati, and it's one of our best-selling items are these tea towels with embroidery on them. And we have that one, an eggplant, called Melgrano, or fish. We have all kind of designs that we do from this company. We're low right now because they were so popular. We've sold about 60 in the last month. So it makes us a little low in inventory. But how about this one that says Sapore di Mare, the taste of the sea. It's a lobster. And although that is a tea towel, I recommend it as a napkin when you're eating lobster because you get butter everywhere, hence a bib. So, Sapore di Mare, lobster, or crab, same thing, get butter everywhere. So that's kind of fun. And we even do plain bibs from the same people. So in case you wanted to have fish, you probably wouldn't need a bib, but some people would. Over here, we're showing more tableware. China, my favorite company. This is Laboratorio Paravicini from Milan. And you say, oh, I really love that plate, but I wish it were brown. No problem, it will become brown. So that is what we do. This is Laboratorio Paravicini too. And this is Laboratorio Paravicini. And if you go onto the web, you can watch a painter painting these. These are hand painted, the little horses. The shelves are filled with Deruta, Moussier, Italian porcelain, everything you can think of. And then we also have this one, which is called Resorts. It's from the book, The Best Resorts by Cleveland Amory. And I think it's very funny, it's very humorous. It's more for fun times. Each one of these plates is hand painted, and each one is different. So every single plate is different. This is the plate. Notice the little dragonfly. Here's another one. You see, it's different. Same size, but different. And then here is a pasta or soup bowl. Again, different because it's all hand painted. Unfortunately, that means it's all trecher. But sometimes that's okay. Sometimes not. This is Astier de Villette company I love. It's from Paris. It's actually not white china. It's black basalt. Basalt, funnily enough, is in the crossword puzzle this morning because it said, what is made from hardened lava? And what is made from hardened lava is basalt. So Acier de Villette makes all their china out of basalt, and they glaze it white. And when they do, it comes out to this beautiful gray look, so that you have very lightweight, but very strong. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I love their little mug with the little handle. Their candlesticks, it's all the same. We also have antique china, because people bring us things all the time and say, can you sell this for me? Yes, we can. We do. So I like old things, as you can see. So all these shelves are filled with fun things. This is the Palio, which is a race that is held in Siena, Italy. And people run bareback, they ride bareback for their cortade. And each cortade has a different coat of arms, and they wear those in the silks on their clothes. So the china is made to go with those different cortades. It's an old race, it's a lot of fun, and maybe not for me, but it's a lot of fun to watch. Now we're in the writing paper department, and the reason I have the writing paper department with china is because oftentimes you're using writing paper to invite people over. One of the companies that I really love is Grosvenor. It's a writing paper company in London. Now look how pretty that is. And interestingly enough, the envelopes are the same way. So what you would do is you would write on that in white. Hi, come for dinner, 6:30 next Tuesday. And then you can serve dinner on your china that you bought. This is a Moussier pattern right here. You notice it says, ne touchez pas. I mean, don't touch. I'll come touch for you. But the pattern here is called Savane. It is Zoe de Givenchy, and anyone who remembers Audrey Hepburn in the movies Charade and Breakfast at Tiffany's will remember that all of her clothes were always designed by Hubert de Givenchy. Zoe is his niece. So here you have the pattern. The dinner plates are made with the trees of the Savane, and in front of it are the animals. Now, obviously, the camel is not in the Savane, but he is an African animal, and the tiger is an Asian animal, but they're putting it all there. It's humorous and fun, has a lot of whimsy. Over here is vintage Porto. This is because we're doing an estate for someone. We're selling this beautiful vintage Porto along with our new Porto, because that's what we are. We are the Porto store. So we do Porto linens and Porto vintage pieces. Up here is more writing paper and beautiful things made of paper. That usually comes to you from Italy. The Italians are masters with paper. So here, this is Tosatti, Grafici Tosatti, and this is a little teeny weeny photograph album. Isn't that nice? It has a picture of the page, and it's done with really pretty writing. And you can have a large box of writing paper, photographs. You can have a pencil or pen tray. You can have erasers. You can have fun notebooks. You can do all kind of fun things. You can have boxes to keep your papers in. You can have more writing paper. You have a dog, that's who you want. There's your dog. You can have more, anything you can think of, we like to say that we can do. And here, I love this. This is a great one. It's called Chic, it's very chic. And it is, she's very chic, but look who she has with her, a skunk. So we have writing paper, quick notes to say thank you for dinner last night. That was a lot of fun. A handwritten note really makes people remember you, and they should. We have glasses that you can do with your home on it. I think you pretty much get the idea here that we are capable of making anything to match your house or to match your imaginary house. Or maybe you say, well, I want it, but I don't want that. I want it to be blue. Again, this is the place you come when you have an idea that you want to be in a special color, because that's what we do. We have fun things like little pads to keep on your desk so you can write a note to yourself. I have to write a note to myself all the time because I forget everything. We have these wonderful little books that you can keep in your wallet to write your notes that you forgot when you were out. People say, oh, well, you can put it in your phone. Yes, you can. But then I forget that I have it in my phone. I like the little book because I remember it. These are little notes. They're called little notes. And they are fun because you put them inside a little pocket that you keep inside your pocketbook. So if you go somewhere and the person's not there, you can have their little note that says, hello, right? I was here to see you. Kisses and hugs, Lita. I have a very lucky life in that I have a business that I started 52 years ago as Lita, Austin, Foster, and Associates. I'm an interior decorator and have been for that entire time. And then my daughters came in to work with me, so we are renaming our company Lita, Austin, Foster, and Daughters. They were actually working there before. Sally Giordano, who's one of the people in our office, runs our New York office and works here in Palm Beach too. And India Foster, who is also one of the designers, has her own company in addition to working here. Her company is called Shizen, S-H-I-Z-E-N, Studio, and it makes furniture that is not only not unkind to the environment, but is good for the environment. It's made from recycled wood and recycled metal, beautiful, very contemporary designs. That might seem strange to you since you're looking at me sitting here in a very traditional room, but all three of us are very happy in all forms of design. We somewhat encompass every form of decor and plan to continue to do that. This is our children's department. The reason we started the children's department is so many of the great linen houses of Europe make children's clothes. So it just sort of came about by accident, but this part of the shop grew like Topsy, and now we have specially made things for our clientele. For instance, this is a little dress that I designed, and we sell this in various colors. I could show you this, like this. It's the same dress, but just made in various fabrics and with changing the embroidery. So that's one of the things, we make that dress for people. We had one man who ordered 7 of them exactly alike because he wanted his children to look exactly alike. We have a wonderful company from America, from South Carolina, that makes these beautiful, very soft knit baby clothes that I will show you in a drawer here in the room. For instance, when you have to give a little baby present. This is so nice. We sell, one of our favorite things is we sell toys. We sell the Porto toys, Porto bunnies, Porto bears. We sell Steiff animals. That's one of our favorites. What does home mean to me? Well, I have just been, after work, swimming for an hour. I'm a big believer in exercise, and so I jog in water for an hour before I go home. And then when I get home, I like to lie down for 15 or 20 minutes and then get up and fix a nice dinner for my husband and me. We both are, I would call us quasi-vegetarians. I'm actually a carnivore. I love meat, but the doctor has removed a lot of meat from my diet. So we're eating in a basically vegetarian way. The good news about that is very easy to fix dinner. But I do like to cook, and I do like to make sure my husband eats healthily because we both want to go to 100. I had such a nice time showing you my shop, and now it's time to say goodbye.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Amy. This is my home in Palm Beach, Florida. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Amy McCardle. I'm an interior designer here in Palm Beach, Florida, and you're in our home. My husband and I moved to Palm Beach, Florida 10 years ago, and we were always searching for the perfect home for our young family. And it took us a long time to figure out what we wanted, and we realized that we wanted something that was very special and curated to what we wanted. I'm an interior designer. He was a real estate developer. So we found a little home, an old Florida home, and the perfect piece of lot, and we built it from the ground up. We moved in September, and here we are. The home has 4 bedrooms and an office, a pool, 2 garages, and we made that second garage on the other side of the house for my husband, and it goes straight into his office, which is very, nifty and nice, where he can just park his car, go straight into his office, and I don't have to see him for the rest of the day. Here we are in our entryway foyer. This is the first thing you see, and I really wanted to have a bold accent entryway, and then I decided we're gonna run it into the dining room as well, and we're so happy that we did. But the rest of the area is still very clean and minimal and modern. If you look at these 2 sconces, these are my most favorite things in the house. This was the first thing that we purchased for the house, even before we broke ground. We were at Paris Design Week, my friend Gina and I, and we were just having coffee, and we looked across the street at the antique market, and we saw these beautiful white minimal art pieces, and we went in and we realized that there were actually light fixtures, and she bought the art piece and I bought these sconces, and these are the first things that was a part of the house, and we're so happy, and everyone that always comes and says that this is probably their favorite piece as well. So this is from Paris. This book was a gift. It's also one of my favorite photographers, David Yarrow. And we have it open to one of my favorite prints that he did. And this beautiful little palm tree, which is my part of Florida, and my not so Florida home, is from a beautiful store in Palm Beach called Get the Gusto. They hand make it. They're from Mexico, and this was also a gift. So I feel like this is a very little meaningful area as soon as you walk in. And right off the foyer is the dining room, where I ran the marble flooring into it. And this room is supposed to have been a bar, but I sort of styled it in a very minimal style. It has some books, our favorite alcohol, and everything is stored underneath, because I'm a very minimal person. I want everything to look like clean and minimal. This art piece is very special to us. It was done by Brian's cousin, who's an amazing artist. And she drew these special lines where she kind of hid our family, like our boys and Brian and my initials into it. So everyone's always eating dinner here and trying to find the letters, and it's really cool. So this is a 120-inch table that I got from Restoration. These cane chairs, I wanted to find something that was modern, but at the same time had a little bit of texture and cane and a little bit of Florida in it, and light. And this light fixture is from Arteriors. It's 35 inches. It looks like a huge dome. And when you're sitting under it, you see the gold finishes inside. And when it's lit up, it's beautiful. And it's also a great conversation piece. And this is a cool little popcorn piece that we have that we felt like it was fun. This was also a gift, a housewarming gift. And this cool print is what we got when we went to Italy 2 years ago with the boys. And they're all numbers, and they thought it was really cool. So we rolled it up and we brought it over and printed it, and it's above the popcorn table. When we were building the house, we were deciding between where we were going to put drapery, solar shades, or both, and we felt like this room, we wanted it to be really minimal, and when it's up, it just seems like we can just look out and it's a clean view into the green outside, and we thought it was just a clean, nice look for this room. I know that people typically like having a bar filled with, beautiful alcohol bottles, but we just wanted to keep it minimal. And for me, I started styling these shelves with this sketch. I grew up with it. It was my parents growing up in Korea, and I felt like I wanted it to have a moment, and then I sort of built on top of it. We have our go-to beautiful alcohol bottles, we have our shot glasses, and we have this silver tray that we got as a wedding gift, our wedding picture, and my favorite Erewhon candle that's always burning, and a great bust that I feel like every shelf should have, and a huge candle on top, some decanters, and a nice sculpture of a horse. And a tip is that if you have a sculpture of an animal, the rear should always face away from the door. And then our dining room leads into the pantry. This is our pantry. This is where we keep all of the snacks and the cookies and the coffee. The kids can come and grab whatever they want. This is sort of like an honor system where hopefully they're not overdoing it, but this is where they get their snacks. This is our cookie area that I always feel like it needs to be beautiful, and people seem to think that it's not for show and they can really eat out of it, so it's always getting filled. Another just ode to, my mother's old stuff that I love putting out, and then mixing it with the modern items in the house. Cool hardware and some remnant marble countertops will really uplift the space without everything having to be high-end. And I think this pantry is a testament to that. It's okay cabinetry, simple hardware, and the star of the show is the countertop. My favorite thing about this pantry are these puzzles that my two boys, who are now 9 and 8, but when they were like really little, 4 or 5, we did these cereal box puzzles of their favorite cereals, and I kept them. And when I was done with the house, I thought it would be fun to frame them and have it. And it's a cute part of the pantry, and they feel like they were a part of it, and they love it. When we built this house and we were meeting with the architect and deciding what we wanted, we started from the exterior. We wanted something that didn't look like a typical Florida home. We wanted something that was classic but modern and clean, and we wanted the inside of the house to reflect that. So the inside of the house is modern but very warm, and I like to tell people that our house is modern but sort of like off the beaten path and a little bit different than the typical modern contemporary home. When I was decorating our house, I had to really think about my two boys who are 8 and 9 and very active and play sports, and they love having their friends over, and my husband who has his friends over, and I wanted it to be modern and white, but I had to have that in mind, and I compromised. Yes, we're gonna have creams and whites and white wood floors, but pick fabrics that really made sense for my young family, and also understand that it might get beaten up a little bit and be okay with it and still enjoy it. This pantry goes into our kitchen. And we are in the kitchen now, which is not a typical Florida white kitchen. We wanted something really bold, but we felt like the house had enough light that it could carry a black kitchen. So we have black slab doors, and what I did was I got this hardware where it felt like it could be a part of the cabinetry, And then we had the installer cut it out and install it so it looks really custom. This is where I picked the star of the show for the kitchen, which is the marble Calicata Viola. And then we had the remnant and used it in the pantry. And then the 2 islands are quartz that are supposed to look like soapstone. It's super durable. People are spilling things here all the time, and it is the best. I wanted to hide all the small appliances, and especially my big rice cooker with my big rice storage thing over here. And it makes everything look tucked away, but then when you need it, it's not like I'm carrying stuff out. It's always there, plugged in and ready to go. And then we have 2 dishwashers, which I feel is so helpful with 2 boys, and things are always going and running. So grateful for that. And then we have our fridge, freezer, wine fridge, which was, I feel like, a good find for me. This is supposed to be a pantry wine fridge, so it doesn't go all the way to the floor. We came up with a creative idea where we sort of built a drawer underneath to make it make sense. We wanted to have a glass cabinetry here to kind of display our nice china, but I realized I have a lot of my mother's old Korean pottery dishware. Like, these are all stuff that I grew up with, that she was gifted with when we were in Korea, and I love taking it out and using it often instead of just saving it, and then the kids can grow up remembering eating off of it, using it, seeing it, feeling it, and I feel like that's so important. When we made the second island, we decided against having the dining room here, but having a second island instead, so that it was just an area where the kids could do homework, we could eat casually, and it gave us so much more storage. For example, everybody in the family has their own drawer in the kitchen. So any homework, pencils, extra paper that we need to keep that needs to be tucked away, everybody knows they have their own drawer. So that's super helpful. The stools are from 4 Hands. They're a dark color, and the boys are constantly spilling and crumbing all over the place, and it's just the easiest thing to maintain. This artwork was also done by Brian's cousin, Allie. She is so talented. I gave her an inspiration photo, and I wanted something with a cat or a leopard. I couldn't decide, and we collaborated and went back and forth so many times. And she knew I wanted something neutral to go with the house, and she did an incredible job. Everyone loves a French La Cornue, and this is one of my favorite pieces in the house. I'm not a cook, I'm not really good at it, but doesn't mean that you can't have a pretty oven. It's the most traditional piece I feel like we have in this house, and it marries so well with the modern and the traditional. This is also basically the same room as the kitchen. We live in here, kitchen eat-in area, we watch TV here. This is where we eat most nights. And I like to do color. People don't believe me when I say I like color because my house is so neutral, and I love doing black and white and neutral homes for clients. But I say you can have fun with color and go all out on accessorizing and decor and your dinnerware and when you entertain, because that you're not going to get sick of it, and this is your accent, and this is your time to have fun and not feel like you're married to it. Flowers, and these Amazon plates that I love getting that I can just chuck after we entertain. But from afar, it looks like very nice, expensive china. And this is an art TV from Samsung. So when we're not watching TV, we can have whatever art we want up there. And then we finished it to the same color as the cabinet so that it looks like a frame, like an art frame. And we're not just staring at a blank TV space. And we wallpapered behind it. And then this is our custom cabinetry. This is a good little basketball bowl that the boys love, where we keep all our remote controls and shade controls and everything. So I wanted to style this built-in so that it sort of makes sense with the black kitchen. So the items on the cabinetry, the built-in shelves are black with a little bit of accent of, you know, red and white and here and there. But that's why I feel like these two areas sort of mesh together. And because the kitchen is so black, I wanted to keep this area light with a custom sofa that I got from my favorite custom furniture maker in LA, made by Inch. She does all my custom sofas and sectionals. And this really small but cute coffee table from CB2. So this is where we live and entertain, and all our friends and our kids' friends come over, and we're watching TV, we're watching a game, and we love having this, you know, eat and bench area because it sort of serves as a second sofa. This is not like a huge family room area. So this is kind of like people will sit here, and then the people that are eating will still get to watch TV comfortably sitting on the bench. And then these stools are so comfortable, and they'll just sort of turn, and then I'll watch the TV, or I'll converse together in these 3 separate areas. And then we'll have food, buffet style, on the first island. And it's very intimate, fun, live-in area that everyone loves. When we were designing this house, we wanted doors that were not really slider doors because we wanted it to feel still French doorish like, so it's not too modern. So we have these French doors that open up, and we usually have them all open when people are over, so it's like an indoor-outdoor feel. And you know, when it's perfect weather, it's the best. When you're building a new home from the ground up or renovating your home, I think a lot of people question where they should splurge, where they can save money, and what's worth it. And my biggest thing that I tell my clients is the slabs and the stone and the countertops that you pick. You don't have to do marble everywhere. You don't have to just cheap out and just do quartz everywhere. I think you pick a space where you feel like it's worth it, where it's high traffic and you want to show it off, and you pick the slab and you just do it. You're going to look at it every day, and I think, you know, marble is marble. You can treat it, and you know, it may get beaten up, but then nothing is forever in this world anyway, and you might as well enjoy it. And you're gonna have remnants and leftovers, and you use that in the powder room or in the laundry. And you know, if it's not enough, you know, make a cutting board out of it, and you have like 5 cutting boards on the side that matches your counter. So I like to say splurge where it means a lot to you, and then do something less where it doesn't really matter. Another tip that I love to give my clients is about hardware on your cabinetry. Sometimes people forget the fact or don't know that you can have low-end, sometimes IKEA cabinetry, and you put on the most beautiful marble hardware, and it is literally like the jewel of your house, and it'll upgrade any cabinetry in 2 seconds. So this is the main formal living room, and this is the highlight of the house, where I really focused on designing something where it was unique and sculptural, sort of like art, but something that we could also switch around if we got tired of the vases. But they're lit from the back. It was really hard to put them all up because we had to have a 3-story scaffolding to come in here and do all of this. And then I realized I'm gonna need to do that every time we deep clean the house. But it is a great conversation piece. It is a wow factor when you come in, and when you're sitting in this room and having conversations and watching TV in here, it makes you feel warm, and you're in a really special place. My husband wanted to put a TV in front of that shelving design, and I won after he realized how special it was, and we put it on the other side of the living room. So the point of having these vases on these shelves is to make the viewer feel like it's consistent, symmetrical, and safe, if that makes sense, where they're repeats, but they're not repeating next to each other. It took me a very long time to draw this out, but they all make sense together. You know, they seem like a family and it feels cohesive. When I was designing this room and when we moved in, we were expecting adults to sit in here and have, you know, tea, wine. But let me tell you, 90% of the time, it is my 2 8- and 9-year-old boys and their friends that sit around here playing games and talking and having snacks. So it's multi-dimensional room for all ages. So this is another frame TV we have on the other side of this formal living room. Everyone is always surprised when they realize it's a TV, which was our intention because, again, I love artwork around the house, and if we can't have art and we have to have a TV, it would be nice to have something that is still beautiful to look at when you're not watching TV. This art piece is from a local artist as well, from Christian Stadlier. I'm going to show you later, but she does really special artwork with families and kids, and she's does commission artwork as well. And every time she does something edgy or something neutral, she always messages me and says, "This is so you, I feel like you would love it," and I always do. And then this piece is a sketch that we got from the streets in Italy when we went, and I just bought it off the streets and I framed it, and I think it's beautiful and chic. I feel like this is a good idea to have when you're traveling, to have little prints that you can roll up in your bag, and then when you come home, you can frame and put around the house. It has meaning to it. It's beautiful, it's easy to put around the house. So this whole living room set, I don't love doing the same set from the same source when I design, but it's from Verellen. A Danish family owns it in High Point, North Carolina. It's one of my favorite vendors. They do beautiful work. And when I started designing this house, I wanted a modern house, but something modern but off the beaten path. And Verellen is a brand that is an epitome of that, modern but off the beaten path. Their fabrics are special, their lines are really curved and modern, but also very warm. So I wanted that in this living room. And the coffee table is from House of Leon. It has beautiful edging where it's sort of, it looks like it's all chipped and it's not smooth. And I love that about this table. My husband was a little concerned it could be an accident waiting to happen with the boys, but everyone's alive so far. When I talk about the highs and the lows of design, when you look at this, everyone thinks that this is real travertine, but it's porcelain. And I feel like I splurged so much on the custom cabinetry on top. I was more than happy to find something that was neutral and not real stone, and it came out beautifully. Brian's cousin Ellie did this piece for me. She did 3 special pieces, the one in the dining room, the one in the kitchen, and this one. I wanted something to look like a cloth draped around a canvas. So everyone always says, "What's behind the canvas? What are you hiding?" And I'm like, "No, that's the art." And everyone gets a kick out of it. But I think it's so cool. And it's like, she did it with plaster, and I think it ties in with the rest of the room really well. And now I'm going to take you into our formal powder room. This is our formal powder room where a local hand-painted mural artist did a custom paper for us on really beautiful rose gold wallpaper with 4 tigers that represents our family, the 2 parents and the 2 cubs. And there are birds and flowers, and it's wrapped around the whole room, and it's a great art piece that is actually a room. So this custom vanity I designed spans the width of the room. It's a very small space, and I designed it so that when you're looking into the sink, there are ledges built into it, so you can place your soaps and candles and your towels, and it's really not visible to the naked eye when you're walking into the room. So it sits below, and it's still there, but it's clean and, you know, tucked away. This is the cabana bath that goes out into the pool. These are really beautiful lime washed walls that I did in a very neutral beige color. This is a remnant infinity leather countertop from my husband's, his master bath. And again, these are very affordable cabinetry that I sort of upgraded with some cool hardware, where I feel like just a plain simple round knob would have been really boring, and I feel like this made it really special. And again, it's a very neutral black, white, creamy neutral room, but you always can play with color with fun flowers and decor. And these, my straw mirrors are my favorite. These are from Arteriors, and I feel like it gives a cool, edgy vibe to this room. This opens up from the outside, the hall, and Brian's office, so this is sort of like a everyone breathes through bathroom that everyone uses. It's very durable, functional. And this bathroom is next to Brian's office, where I wanted to have it a bright, clean feeling, but make it masculine with dark olive green sofa sectional and banana bark coffee table from Made Goods. So these walls are sort of a collection of his friends' flags and jerseys, golfers, hockey players that he's friends with, and then his, you know, L-shaped work desk. And if you open up the doors to his patio area is the pool. The thing I love most about our home that we build is that we're living in the middle of Florida, and I come into my house and I feel like I'm home in Seoul, Korea, where I grew up. I feel like it's the modern vibe, warm, soft tones. I have some pieces that I grew up with while I was growing up in Seoul, and while I get to enjoy the sunny palm tree life, when I'm home, I genuinely feel like I've been able to create and design this house that I feel like I'm also back in my roots in Asia. So we're going upstairs, and on the way upstairs, there's a fun little corner that I made, a vintage apothecary chest that I grew up with when I was growing up in Korea. This was my parents, and it has these little cute shelves, and kids always hide things in it, so you never know what you're gonna find. And this print is from our honeymoon in South Africa. We bought this print and framed it, and this cute little art light is from Amazon. So great little fun corner for us. So a local artist does a session where it's a mommy and me session, where she has these surfboards, and then, you know, mom and child can go and do these art pieces together. So I took our boys, we did 2 surfboards together. Doing 2 at a time was a little rough, but we got through it. And they each have their own surfboards. We did a little coconut tree, and the coconut tree connects through both boards so that, you know, when they grow up and they move out, and they can each take their own surfboards, but they're connected forever. So this is the boys' bedroom that they still share. When we were designing the house, we made a Jack and Jill, but they wanted to start off still, you know, sharing the same bedroom. And I wanted to design beds where it was a built-in, and it felt like it was a part of the room and made sense size-wise. So they're both double beds. And I love designing beds where you have like a 10-inch shelf behind the bed, so you can display art, stuffies. This was a huge stuffy wall before I had to take it all down and make it look nice. But it has art pieces, it has, you know, special little stuffies that I put up there for them. And this is a fun little detail where it's a part of the bed, but it looks like a big pillow. This nightstand is from Made Goods, is probably the most special piece in here. It's the grown-up piece, and I feel that you know, one of them can grow with it. When they move out to their own room, they can take it or it can stay here. This is from Visual Comfort, and this is a cool piece of light. I felt like we needed something substantial to anchor this whole area, but then the light on top is from good old Amazon. I didn't do a rug in here because I wanted it to not collect dust, and I felt like if they've spilled anything, and they spill things all the time, we can just wipe it up. But if you want to get out of bed and step onto something soft, this shearling rug is amazing. And it's movable and it's easy. When I designed this room, I wanted them to grow with it. And the flannel wallpaper from Philip Jeffries, I think, does that. And the bedding, I think the Nike throws that they love is, you know, a little bit of an ode to how young they are right now. They love it. This is their shared bathroom, where we have really muted ombre walls, where I wanted to do something special but not too flashy. And we have a custom trough sink for them made out of Caesar stone concrete material. And I love having these really cool acrylic clear step stools for them instead of, you know, chunky white plastic ones. And then you can just tuck them in when not using them. And I love how we cut out these cabinet doors instead of having hardware, so it's clean, it's easy for them to use. And this is their shower that they never use. It's all penny tiles, the entire shower, which I think is really clean and pretty, and you can do a lot with just the grout colors. If I had used white grout colors, it would have looked a lot more traditional, but we kept it very, we kept the grout colors clean and in the same tone as the color of the tiles, so it's more modern. The boys have never really used their bathroom. They love showering in mine. This is her master bath. This was designed so that it was a spa-like feel. You feel calm and you can unwind in here after a long day, and the boys are taking full advantage of that. This is a 600-pound concrete tub from Native Trails, and it was a feat getting it up here, but our contractor, after 6 tries, got it up here. It's used very well by the boys after playing sports. The countertop waterfall is a marble. It has a 3-inch ledge, so if we ever want to put anything on top, it's pretty functional. And we have matching floating shelves next to it, a thick 4 inches. I styled it very minimal, calm, spa-like, and we have a little side table here. I used to work for these designers in New York City, White Web, and they had these beautiful line of furniture. And this is one of them, acrylic white side table. I think I bought this from them like 11 years ago, and it has come with me everywhere I go. We put a beautiful vase on it, photos, sometimes bath salts, beautiful. And then we like having drapery to kind of frame the tub, so it has a very soft framed feel. The sketch is from Kirsten Sadlier, and this painting is also from Kirsten Sadlier, the artist. And these are all sourced from local stores and showrooms. And then these 2 little vases are from my house in Korea, growing up as well. And you know, you can never finish without good old Amazon. When you're kind of struggling and trying to fill a space, and you go on Amazon and you find it, and they always have it. And this area has just simple, like jewelry stuff and frames, and always nice fresh flowers next to your vanity, I think is really nice. And this pottery vase piece is from a cousin of ours, Alexandra French, when she had a pottery business. And I love using it, and I love having things that are from friends, families, local artists throughout the house. I think it's very meaningful. This is the entry to his master bath, and you know, this is a sneaker wall that we made for him because he loves his sneakers and his shoes. And it's an open entryway into his master bath. This is his custom infinity leather countertop that we made an integrated sink with. It slopes down. I think is a nice masculine little touch to it. And again, simple slab doors, and we made it look elevated with good hardware. It could have just been simple long poles, but we just had 2 little knobs from Rejuvenation, and it instantly elevated the space and made it still masculine. And then we have these stone pendants from Arteriors that are a good contrast to the black and gray dark bathroom. And I think the biggest trick that I would love to point out is that these are subway tiles that we got, just simple subway tiles laid out in a very special format. We still don't know what it's called, but we love it. And we carried it on into the shower walls as well. And then in the shower, we did the subway tiles in that special format and big jumbo penny tiles. And the boys, if they're not taking a spa-like soak in my tub, they really love this feature. They think this is the coolest. This is a sneaker wall that I just sort of quickly styled. He's always using it, but I'm a big fan of even just daily stuff that you use. It doesn't have to be just wire racks. You know, it's beautiful black custom cabinetry, shoe shelf for his side. Honestly, I had this styled so pretty with like coffee table books and everything, and then I returned those books, and then they were color coordinated, but now it's sort of like he really used it. And then this is the master bedroom. It's supposed to have a very calm, spa-like, resorty feel. We wanted to keep it light, bright, but at the same time, we have blackout shades that are tucked under the ceiling so that it comes down when it needs to be a blackout room. These are custom made from Made by Inch, the same people that make all of my sectionals and sofas from LA. And this is a custom bed as well. We wanted to take it to the ceiling and have that cozy feeling. I love crisp white sheets and to just have a chunky throw on top of it. These are leather nightstands from Made Goods. Oldie but a goodie. Functional, beautiful, light. This floor lamp was a big conversation piece because a lot of people butt their heads or run into it when they're walking around it, but I just can't get myself to get rid of it because I think it's so beautiful. I feel like it's more of like a art piece than a lamp. The whole point of this primary bedroom was to make sure that we were always feeling zen and calm and we can wind down. And I left the walls white in the simple white color from Benjamin Moore. And the textures I added were just with the stationary drapes that were still like linen-y and see-through, but still had that heavy feeling, so it's like a substantial drapery. What makes a home alive for us is our kids' laughter, the memories that we're making as a family, and the kids, when they grow up, when they look back and remember the home they grew up in, what they did, the games they played, you know, the friends that they always constantly had over, our barbecues.